Hey everybody, how's it going? It is Joe, and welcome back to another episode of the Inside Our Phillies podcast. Here today to talk about if baseball is broken, we have Met Suck. How's it going?
Doing good, doing good. How you doing, Joe?
Doing pretty well today. And then we have Jeremy, SJ Phil's fan. How are you?
Pretty good, pretty good.
Nice. Glad we are all doing well. So, this podcast is getting recorded on Tuesday night. This is going to get either uploaded on Tuesday night or during the day Wednesday. And we will have a Phillies podcast over the weekend. We're going to try to get as many questions as we can for that one. So, if you have any questions, let me just make sure to quickly plug our Discord server. The link is in the show notes. We have a podcast channel in that Discord server where you can ask any questions and we will get to them on the show over the weekend. So with that being said, we are going to have a couple different topics today, but it's all going to be about answering the question of if baseball is broken and if the Dodgers have broken baseball. So first we have a list of 5 topics, and we're going to kind of put up on our own tier list to see how broken this individual aspect is. So topic number 1 that I have, and we're all going to have our own tier list. We don't have to all agree. I don't think we are going to all agree, is deferred money in contracts. This obviously became a big thing with Shohei Ohtani deferring $68 million every year in his $70 million a year contract. I'll go with you first, SJ. What do you think about deferred monies and where would it go on your broken baseball tier list?
Oh, that's number 1 on the broken tier list for me, honestly. The Dodgers have superstars because they're paying them nothing right now.
Yeah, I mean, that is definitely true. I don't know if there's a ton of deferred money aside from Ohtani, but I do think that if it wasn't the Dodgers and it wasn't the LA market, I don't think that Ohtani would be getting that deferred money or willing to take that deferred money anywhere else. What about you, Metsuck?
Opposite decision, opposite direction. They are spending that money. It has to be put in escrow within a year of opening, within the next July after opening day. So it's not like they're sitting on the money and not spending it. They are spending it in escrow. If anything, they're costing themselves by putting it escrow any sooner they have to. Deferred money has been a thing in baseball for 30 years at least. We all laugh on July 1st on Bobby Bonilla Day. It's had things that have worked out. It's had things that have failed. The Dodgers are smart. They have smart owners. They're willing to spend the money, and they also realize that they can take that $68 million every year. Like I said, they have from, I could be wrong, but I remember reading that they have from opening day until following July. So they have 15 months where they can take that and they can invest it and they can turn that $68 million into way more than that if they want to. I think that as a player, I would never take deferred money because you're losing opportunity cost, time value of money, and you're just giving it to your owners. But as long as an owner is willing to do that, it's their business and I have no problem with it.
I think that maybe my biggest criticism with it, because you're totally right, with the escrow, and if you're a player, why would you want to take deferred money? But I think where it starts to kind of piss me off a little bit is how it impacts like the net present value of the contract, because it assumes like a 4.43% discount rate. So it means that essentially the Dodgers have a $700 million contract that they're getting taxed on like $460 million. Like not everything is going to that competitive balance tax amount. It's only $46 million a year versus the 7.
That's the time value of money.
Yeah.
That's net present value. That's what they should be taxed on.
But
just because they're saying it's a $700 million deal after defers does not mean that's actually the value of it. Net value is 46, whatever you said.
But the whole thing is though, they wouldn't be deferring the money if it didn't have the benefit of lowering the luxury tax, which is like, I know the whole escrow and everything, you are paying the money, but they're doing it because they don't have to pay more money in the tax, which is, it's just a stupid loophole.
That's part of it, but it's also just trying to
30 more million. That's a lot more money.
But would they have given him?
It's almost double.
Nobody was going to give him a $700 million contract if they had to pay it all right up front.
Would he have taken?
They gave him a $460 million contract or whatever the number is, right? They did not. They gave him a $700 million for the. It's no different than NFL contracts when you get the so and so.
It's way different. It's still all fully guaranteed.
Right, but it's not. It's only fully guaranteed at that amount because of net present value and time value money.
Would Shohei Ohtani have taken that much deferred money? Because I think he could have gotten more than $46 million in the free market if we've seen guys like, Justin Verlander and Max Scherzer push, 40 plus at shorter deals, but, also a lot older than Shohei Ohtani. Like, I question if Shohei Ohtani would take the deferral to the extent that he did with any other team other than the Dodgers. Like, I would propose there being a limit to how much you can defer in a contract on like a percent basis. Like, you can only defer 30% of a deal or something like that.
I don't think he would have signed anywhere but the Dodgers. I think, I saw the reporting right before the World Series that he offered the same structure. He told, I think it was 3 or 4 teams. I know Toronto was one of them. That's why it came up before the World Series. The Dodgers were one. I know the Angels were one. I think there was a 4th team in that. That he gave them the same structure, all of the teams. The Angels were the only one that didn't agree to it, from what I read. Again, reported by whoever. I think I saw the Athletic. I could be wrong. And
no. The Angels aren't poor. They're stupid. It's totally different.
Oh scenario. No, I agree. But my point is the Blue Jays were willing to do it. And I think there was a 4th team. I could be wrong. It might have only been the 3 teams, but the Blue Jays were willing to do it. And he chose the Dodgers because if I was from Japan, I would choose a team in the West Coast, right? And that's the value here that LA has over Philly or New York or whatever. It's a whole lot closer to Japan than it is on the East Coast.
Well, that's kind of the tie-in to, I think, that the next point, which is it a problem the way that international free agency or the posting process from Korea and Japan, is that a problem?
It's only a problem because no one's ever signed this many the high tier ones at once. This has never been a thing. So
I mean, the Yankees were doing this in the 90s. Anybody that was popular over there wanted to become a Yankee because they had marketing.
But the luxury tax was but the luxury tax was put in place because of the Yankees dynasty in the 90s.
No, I'm talking the international players, not necessarily just paying everybody, right?
Yeah, the national, but the international players, like who really still
Matsui was 2000.
Yeah, but he wasn't great.
Well, that's the thing. Japan wasn't pumping out the
exactly. Where like it's a little unprecedented, but all of a sudden they're like this pitching factory now. Like Nomo was good, but like he wasn't like Hall of Fame good.
You had Daisuke Matsuzaka there a little bit.
Who was okay.
I mean, he helped them win 2 World Series.
No, he didn't. Daisuke only won 1.
He only won 1? I thought he was on the 13. I thought he was on 13 team still.
No,
right, so he helped them win 1. Yeah. Sorry, I knew I was saying that. I was wrong.
I mean, I think where you can say that there's a problem with like the current posting process is kind of snowballing, as we've noticed. Like, to me, this is a bigger problem than deferred money, because it's snowballing to an extent that it is completely unfair. And I get the argument that these are players that are already professional baseball players and they should have the ability to choose where they want to go. But at some point, like, you have to make a trade-off between, do you want Major League Baseball to be a league where everybody can have a equal chance if they're coming over from overseas, and the best situation for them? Do you want to have as many people come over from overseas as possible, or do you want it to be as fair as possible? Because I think it's just objectively not fair right now, and it's for the betterment of the players for sure, but I would argue it's worse for the product of the league.
Yeah, I agree, because no one from like Japan or Korea is going to want to sign in Cleveland.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, like until like they're already like maybe a second contract, but no one. I don't has no major Asian player has signed first contract with a Midwest team. I think.
Yeah, not any
It's been
major
like,
one.
It's been like second. It's been like Shin-Soo Choo was with Seattle, then traded to Cleveland.
What were you gonna say, Matt Suck?
Yeah, but how is that different than, again, I'm going to jump back to the Yankees in the 90s. It was Cuban players. Right? At that point, Cuban players were pumping out the players that Japan was pumping out, and they all wanted to go to the Yankees.
But no, but the MLB already put in place to stop what the Yankees were doing, and the luxury tax, and the Yankees only won one since. So that worked. This is a whole different scenario.
But I could be wrong. Is Cuba part of the international pool money or not? I don't think they are.
They are.
I thought they were. Yeah.
But Cuba hasn't. No, but Cuba also has kind of stopped being the powerhouse.
Exactly. And
here's
that's kind of the point. That's the point. When you make rules for cyclical things, I'm just not a fan of that, right? It's like it'd be like
they didn't do anything to limit Cuba. They limited they put a pressure on the payroll. They didn't do anything to change the signing process. That all happened because these bonuses were getting crazy for the minor leaguers, and then the Latin minor leaguers, and all the corruption that was happening because of it.
I don't disagree with that. And if the solution is to put the Japanese and other Asian players through the same international signing pool, just no matter how long they are, whether they've been posted or not, then I can live with that. I'm fine with that.
Here's what I would do. Here's what I would do.
I personally have no issue with the current way it's set up. If you want to build inroads, if you want to get the Japanese players, build inroads in Japan. It's not easy. It will cost money, but if that's what you want, and you want those players, you need to find a way to get into it until they become part of the international signing for even when they get to posting. I think they are before, if it's before posting, correct? And before they hit a certain number of years
yes, like Roki Sasaki came out of the Dodgers bonus pool because he wasn't good enough to be.
The whole posting system was an agreement between MPB and MLB because their MPB wanted to make sure they could entice their players to stay longer, because like Nomo and all these other players in the beginning were taking advantage of like a loophole. They were basically retiring and then setting MLB, and MPB was like, please don't do this to us, please. And so they came up with on the posting system.
All right,
this is what I would do.
So hang on, wait. I want to touch on that real quick too, and I want to hear what you want to do. But if the posting was put in to prevent them from leaving early, and it's a good agreement for Major League Baseball because it helps grow the game in Japan, right? You want to keep their stars there. If you move the posted people into the international signing pool, why would they wait? Well, they would just go as soon as they could.
I don't agree with getting rid of the posting system at all. No, that is definitely not the solution, because don't want to kill. Also, there's really not that many like star players that come over. Like, how many times have we seen like the offensive numbers just not even come close?
Yeah, no, I agree. All right, what were we gonna say?
Iwamura from the Rays. Remember when he signed? I was like, damn, I wanted the Phillies to sign him in 2007 for a third baseman, and he had no power when he came over.
This is what I would do. I would have every single player that wants to go into Major League Baseball, whether that be, a U.S. player getting drafted out of high school, college player getting drafted out of college, somebody in Latin America that's part of the, international bonus pool money, somebody that's getting posted from Korea or Japan or Taiwan. Everybody goes into the same draft. Every single person goes over to the same draft. And, normal rules apply unless you're somebody that's a professional from another country. To your traditional posting. And if you draft somebody that has a traditional posting, you get 3 years of team control instead of 6 years. And you have to come to an agreement with the team that they got posted from on how much you're going to pay as the posting fee. Because obviously you can't let that person be shorted out. It would probably result in fewer players coming over from those leagues, but I think it would kind of prevent the snowballing that we're seeing now and give every team really the same chance or the same opportunity to at least draft these players.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the NHL, like an NBA, have something like that. Like they can draft foreign players, and they have like X number of years to come over.
Yes, the NHL does have that. All kinds of professional leagues.
Well, yeah, but the NBA does too. Like
right.
Like I remember Nikola Mirotic for the Bulls. Like they drafted him. I was waiting for him to come over, and then like eventually made an agreement. And they don't always come over, so sometimes that draft pick is wasted.
Yeah. What
do you
think about that?
I mean, yeah, I would be fine with that.
What about you, Matt Stuck?
I'm not opposed to it. I don't like I don't like limit from 6 years to 3 years. I think teams invest a lot of money in play. Now, granted, if you're going to draft them and they're going to go straight to the major leagues, it's different, right? You're not going to invest all the money in the minor league system.
That's why you had to have that change.
But then you have special rules for different people, and what about
yeah, we already have that now.
What about I know there are several, but what about like somebody like Mike Trout, who's drafted and in the bigs within a year, or some of these pitchers that have been in the bigs within a year? Should they only get 3 years team control because they didn't spend a lot of time in the minors too? I mean,
well, they wouldn't be a posted player.
Yeah. No, but my point is your argument. Maybe I misunderstood your argument. The argument for the 3 years is that they're already at major league level, so there's no investment there. At least that's how I heard it. I could be wrong if that's what you're not.
It was more of an age thing than anything else.
Age thing.
Because like, you're coming in.
But like most of the Japanese players or like Korean players or even sometimes Latin players, they have basically if they don't sign like a long-term contract after 3 years, they're a free agent. They can't go to arbitration.
Well, so here's my other twist on that, though. If Cleveland, we're gonna just pick on Cleveland. If Cleveland drafts
Cleveland rocks.
Yeah, that was a great song. If Cleveland drafted Yamamoto 2 years ago, and they only had 3 years of team control with him, what are the odds he's signing with them after 3 years?
Maybe, so but maybe maybe he experiences and likes it.
I mean, he might, but most people leave Cleveland anyhow, because they won't spend the money, or Kansas City or whatever. But by only giving them 3 years control, now if I'm the GM of the Indians or the Guardians, sorry, I'm gonna sit there and say, why am I gonna draft this guy when in 3 years I already start thinking about trading him? Look at some of these guys. I mean, we just got the Phillies got Johan Duran because he's got 2.5 more years of this deal because that was when they can maximize value. So these guys are going to get drafted by a Midwest or a small market team and then immediately traded for a crap ton of prospects to a Dodgers or a Yankees or a Phillies or a Blue Jays or somebody like that. I mean, it doesn't solve the problem. I don't think. I think giving them the 6 years is how you're going to encourage those Midwest and those little teams, those small market teams, the Marlins, the Rays, to actually draft some of these guys and try to grow them. I think you disincentivize them from using a draft pick.
Well, I mean, honestly, I think this is a good turning point to move into the next topic of like how the payroll differentials between all the teams.
We can talk about
let's bring that one, because I mean, it just is objectively true that there's two teams in Major League Baseball that can sustain payrolls that are significantly higher than any other team. The Mets seem to not care about making a profit or not, and the Dodgers have a TV deal that is, multiple times better than any other TV deal in the league. I know that there is a problem with a lot of teams not spending enough money, but should you also have a limit? Is a salary cap something that Major League Baseball should try to institute?
So yes. This is why we're going to have a lockout in a year. I'm going to just throw a number out. There's 10 teams, or probably 8 to 10, who say, hell no, do never put a cap on this. There's 10 or 12 teams that say, well, if you're going to put a cap, that means you're going to make me spend a certain amount of money, so we don't want that either. So you're going to have owners that don't... This lockout coming... And honestly, the 94 strike, the whatever the last lockout was, these have never been truly players versus owners. These have been rich owners versus poor owners. Almost all of them. So I don't see any way that Major League Baseball is going to get a cap in. I'm not necessarily for a cap, but I understand it. I do wonder how you handle the contracts that already existed for the next 12 years for some of these contracts, and how you grandfather those in while allowing these teams to still grow, right? Because if you tell a team that this year might sign Kyle Tucker to 8 years, or Schwarber for 5, or whoever, or Ranger for 8, just names I can think off the top of my head, you're gonna have a situation where if you change the rules next year, now all of a sudden they might not be able to sign anybody for the length of that contract because they have to stay underneath the cap that they didn't know they had. So there's a question about one. You're not going to have the owners never going to agree on a cap because there's owners that just don't want it. There's enough owners that don't want it that will veto it, I think. And then you also have the implementation side of the cap and how do you roll it out? And it's got to be a slow rollout. So we're going to say, Jeremy.
Yeah. So I'm in favor of cap on principle, assuming because like the NFL would be based on like total revenue, everything. So it's not like a low number like the NHL, which is great. Like it would still be a high number, like even like 250, 300 million, whatever. And that would allow them to put like a harder floor because contrary to what people believe, there already is a floor in the MLB. It's the minimum salary times 26.
Yeah.
So to get a higher floor, they're gonna want a cap, so let's look at the active 26-man payrolls. You have only 14 teams have a payroll over 100 million. So, and that is really what the problem is. You have half the league not, and you have like the White Sox like 17 million, which is just fucking pathetic. It's just these bottom feeders, and I don't know. The thing is, I will never side with the owners on like salary discussions until they actually open up their books. Like if you're not making money, prove it. It's just that's that simple. You can cry all you want, but like the Braves are a public traded company. I own them because it's funny. I have like 2 shares, so technically I own the Braves. But it's just like, and they make money. It's so.
Oh, they claim they don't.
No. The Braves do. Like they have to. They're a publicly traded company. They have to show their numbers.
I'm looking at the numbers now, and in 2024, they had operating income loss of 46 million. No, sorry,
yeah,
40 million. So there's ways. My point is, there's
ways to make that count.
Anybody's ever worked in corporate America knows the way to make it look like you lost money.
I know, but there are ways if they open up the books to the union will be like actually the thing. But yeah, you could cry that you don't make any money, but we know what the revenue has. They definitely know that teams can be paying more this freaking crap, especially when they're getting public money for the stadiums. They could just cry like Bob Nutting, whatever, for the Pirates. Like he's full vocal about it, but he won't show anything of his books. It's just like it's just pathetic.
Here's what the NHL did when they instituted their salary cap, which wasn't that long ago. I feel like there's kind of a lot of
It was 20 years ago. It was 20 years ago.
Not that long ago, all things considered. In the scheme of of all these sports leagues that have been around for a long time.
You were a baby 20 years ago.
This is true.
I remember the lockout. It was devastating. Yeah. There was no hockey for the whole year.
The NHL had a 24% salary rollback, which pretty much meant that a contract that was currently worth $10 million would then be worth $7.6 million towards the salary cap. And if you were still over the cap after that 24% rollback, you had to get cap compliant by the time that the next season started. That was the way the NHL did it. And maybe baseball could do something similar. Like, I agree with you, Metsuck, that like it would be hard to imagine baseball owners coming to an agreement to institute a cap and the players agreeing to having a cap. But I think the game needs one quite badly. I would put this is number 2. When you look at the international free agency, that to me is number 1. This is number 2. Deferred money is number 3. But I think this is still a very important thing that you have to even if it hurts the Phillies, I think for the good of the game you have to limit it.
I'm gonna say that number one. I'm gonna say the number one thing. Sorry, you go ahead, Jeremy. I'll jump in a minute.
Oh yeah, no, but to say because I'm not in favor of a small cap. We know the sport makes a ton of money, but when you get a cap, it allows you to set a higher floor, and that is the problem. We need a higher floor, and the only way you get that is if they're never going to agree without a cap. But the thing is, there's only way the players are going to agree to a cap is if they get restricted free agency. That is my take. They're going to need, instead of arbitration, 3 years and then restricted free agency. That's the only way the players would ever agree to a cap.
Well, so in my opinion. I will argue that the players actually screwed themselves in the 90s by not doing a cap.
I agree with that too.
Because the revenue, and this is where I was trying to make a moment ago. The revenue, and this is Google AI, so take it for what it's worth, is peaked at 60.5% of revenue went to player salary in 1994. In 2024, that was 47%. So, if you're going to do, I think number one is have the luxury tax tied to your revenue to get to. If I'm a player, my number one request is get your luxury. Leave a luxury tax in there, but get it tied to the revenue, so it's 50% or 53% or whatever you can negotiate for, right? I think NFL's 50%. I think NHL's 50%. NBA's around 50%. They're all around the same. Get it tied to that, and then if you want to do a cap, I can live with the cap. I'm not a fan of any salary rollbacks, right? Contracts were signed; those are what they are. I think that teams should get exemptions for contracts that are signed. I don't think that you should punish teams by making them trade players or eat contracts or whatever to get cap compliant. I don't like what the NHL did back then. I was never a fan of it. That said, I think that if you're going to have a cap, you need to have the same rule the NFL has, which is over a 4-year rolling period, every team has to have 89% of the cap covered.
Yep.
Which means that if we're going to make the luxury tax at, I'm going to just use a round number here, at $100 million, which is way too low, but I'm going to use a number for ease, right? Every year, you got to spend, on a 4-year average, you have to average $89 million a year. Now, obviously, you double that, triple that, whatever the number is, and that number is tied to your revenue, not these artificial numbers that get put in the CBA, which is also a problem. The luxury tax is not going up nearly fast enough.
Yeah,
I thought that killed the Phillies in the 08, the 07 to 11 run, because the Phillies were not willing to spend into the tax at the time, which I thought was a problem. But the tax number was only going up like $1 million. Maybe a couple years, I think it stayed the same. So you couldn't even go out and upgrade your team because you had no room to, because you were already up against it.
Yeah, but the Phillies, we're like a top 5 payroll, like even like top 1 and 2 at the peak.
Yeah, but
so
you tell me we couldn't have gone and upgraded that team somewhere? I mean, that's my point is, if teams should always be trying to make themselves better, and that's why I don't like caps, because you limit what you can do. I mean, when you have to watch players leave, and we watch it I watch with the Eagles. I don't think you guys are Eagles fans, but I watch with the Eagles all the time, where we've got to let players go because we just can't fit them in the cap, even though they're good players, right? And every NFL team goes through that, and I'm not a fan of that personally, but I understand it. But if we're gonna do a cap, I need a floor that's at 90% of the cap. I want to see. I want to see the Miami Marlins spend some damn money.
Yeah, it has to go both ways, right?
Yeah,
and that's why it's never going to happen, too, for what it's worth.
Exactly. But the only way I want a cap is that they have a cap without a high floor is the same thing we're at now. Like, it's like you might change a little bit, but
it won't change.
The cap would be like 300 million, and that's not going to change anything.
Yeah, floor's gonna be like 80 million.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so like that would change barely anything. Like you would get a few like dumb bad contracts to like mediocre players to the Marlins or something.
And that's how teams would get under the cap. Honestly, you dump your contracts to the Marlins so that they could say, hey, look, we've got Nick Castellanos. He used to be an all-star. Let's come watch him play. Or we have somebody else who's got 3 years left on a contract that they're no longer performing at, right?
I mean, I think this is kind of going to show how much of a nightmare baseball's in, right? Like, I think just how hard it is to come to an agreement to fix anything is a problem. Unless you do believe that like baseball is not broken and things can kind of continue as they are, right? Which I don't know.
The problem is the owners have to think that, and too many owners think it's broken because they don't want to spend money; they just want to cash checks. And it's going to get to the point where the owners, this lockout coming up next year is not owners versus players. It's going to be owners versus owners. And until the owners get their side fixed, it won't matter what the players want or what the players are saying. It's all going to be performative for TV cameras.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, but like Bob Nutting is worth over $1 billion. So like 60 mil. What's the difference between $1 million and $1 billion? $1 billion, basically. So yeah, he pays $50 million. Like he can like a freaking $100 million would do nothing to him.
Right. But I mean, I agree with everything that you're saying about how you need to have like a pretty strict cap and a floor in that case. But then it doesn't happen, and then you probably can't get a cap or a floor. So then how do you fix anything, right? Like it's just you end up in the exact same place that you're currently at, which is
you end up with the most watched World Series in how long? 8 years? 10 years?
I mean, that's because the Blue Jays were in it, and the Blue Jays are getting all of Canada. Like, is Canada normally going to be watching a World Series? You're getting a whole country, and you're getting.
It wasn't the Blue Jays. It was going to be Seattle, and every baseball fan was going to watch that.
Yeah, but how many views did you get for the weird Rangers Diamondbacks World Series, which baseball fans loved because it was weird teams, but.
But yeah, like no, I just looked up like the farthest back I could find was 1998 team payrolls. 1998, the highest payroll was $70 million by the Orioles, and the bottom was the Expos with $8 million. So it's only a difference of $70 million, and then. But today, the highest was 229, the lowest was 15. So that discrepancy is just way bigger, way bigger now. And
give me the big numbers again.
Yeah, so up 70 million and 8 million in 98, and now just I'll round it up 230 to 230 million to 15 million.
If there's a $15 million salary this year.
Yeah, the A's. This could be. Oh, that's 2022. Hold on, the website froze. 17 million by the White Sox this year. So
230, you said? That seems low.
268. Yeah, so the page froze. 268 and 17 million. So that's a 250 plus million difference when it was less than 100 million.
So the reason I'm asking is because it's not when you can't be looking at the pure number. It was 11%. In 98. The lowest one was 11% of the highest one. Now it's 6%. That's the problem. And the problem is not on the guy that spent $268 million. The problem is on the guy that spent $17 million. So if baseball's broken, it's not broken because of the Dodgers. It's not broken because of the Yankees. It's not broken because of the Mets. It's not broken because of the Phillies. It's not broken because of the Blue Jays. It's broken because of the Pirates, because of the Twins, because of the Royals, because of the Guardians, because of that's who's broken baseball.
But it's both, right?
Yeah. I mean, you can't. No, you can't blame the Dodgers for having an owner that is spending money.
But you can't. But like, not every team can sustain that level of spending.
But the ones that are complaining, they open the books. They cry and they say they can't. But if they actually were, if they want to negotiate in good faith, they need to actually show us the numbers. Until then, they're just lying rich billionaires. Why would I care about what they say?
I mean, they can spend a lot more than they're spending now, but I have a hard time imagining any other team being able to spend to the level of the Dodgers, because number one, the Dodgers have the best TV deal, and that stuff is public for the most part. And then number two, Dodger Stadium tickets are some of the most expensive tickets in the country, and the stadium seats like 12,000 more people than any other stadium in the league. So, those are two big revenue sources, and Dodgers are, significantly ahead of the rest of the league in both of those sources.
Yeah, but I find it hard to believe that every team couldn't support $110 million payroll. I find it hard with the way how much money this league makes, and that would make a huge difference across the board.
I agree.
It's because they would be paying out more to the players, and thus maybe they won't sign with the Dodgers because they're getting enticing offers. So you don't stack all this up. So that, and then also there's where was I going with this? Oh, that kind of rolls in. You can't allow these owners to leverage the teams for debt, like with the Twins. That's all kinds of fucked up.
Yeah, that can't happen. But so here, let's go. I went and pulled up. I found the 2024 revenue against payroll and tax. The Mets in 2024 had $444 million in revenue and a $400 million payroll tax. So 90%. They only made 10% when you factor in payroll. They were number one. The Dodgers were at 73%. Phillies were at 67.2. They were fourth, right? Okay, jump to the bottom. The Marlins in revenue had $317 million against a payroll and tax of $86 million. That's the lowest payroll and tax I can see in 2024. 27%. You telling me the Marlins can't have a $200 million payroll with a $317 million in revenue?
I mean, I'm sure they could. I mean, they should. They're both problems, right? Like you have to pay attention.
No, but if every team is paying more, then these players will get competitive offers from more than 3 teams.
Right. No, I mean, absolutely. You need to have the Pirates and the Marlins and the Rays and the A's. Like, these teams need to step up and not just rely on revenue sharing to make you I don't know. Go ahead.
Well, also let's not forget the Red Sox, who have plenty of money, give away bets for nothing. Okay.
That's poor ownership. That's just poor ownership. That was not crime poor. That was because they spend that money on the Premier League team.
Yep.
And
also wait, but also don't forget, Henry owns the Red Sox, and before he owned the Red Sox, he owned the Marlins. So that money didn't magically appear when he owned the Red Sox. He was just like, oh, bigger market, I can it's a better business deal for me to spend. So they had the money.
Yeah. So again, 2024, their revenue was $574 million. Their payroll plus tax was $242 million. So 42%. So I mean, that was number 23 in the league. Probably low on percentage base, right? But that was also the 7th highest payroll. So it's not. I don't. The Mookie deal was just atrocious. But that
for the Red Sox of all teams, right? Like crazy.
I mean, listen. It was almost 100 years to the day or to the year after they gave away Babe Ruth, and they had 86 years of failure. So here's me rooting for them to have no more wins my lifetime. You act like this and you give away crap so you can go buy something else. I want no part of you.
Yeah. Here's something I would maybe try to offer if I was an owner and I'm trying to give something up to the players. This might also kind of even things up to some extent. Is, do players need to have 6 years of team control when they get brought up? Like, I would argue maybe they don't need 6 years of team control. Maybe you can get 4 or 5 years of team control and more years of arbitration and fewer years in pre-arbitration. And that way players are getting paid more money in that way. It incentivizes teams to sign players to extensions when they're younger. Players will get to free agency when they're younger. And, obviously this would be in conjunction with these teams spending more money through a floor and hopefully there's a cap as well. But I think that also could help to mitigate some kind of advantage. Still incentivize teams to have good development if you're getting 4 or 5 years of team control. But 6 years of team control, that's a lot when you compare it to, the benchmarks that other leagues have.
Yeah, no, there needs to be still arbitration, which is where the numbers are so inflated low from just the years of arbitration that they don't go up a lot. There's I remember Howard broke the record at 10 million for arbitration. That was oh my god back then. But it needs to instead of arbitration, you do restricted free agency. Teams can match. And then if you sign them, then you lose draft picks and you gain draft picks.
Yeah, I mean, look at the NFL. The NFL, you have 4-year rookie deals. First round picks get a 5th-year team option. The NHL entry level contracts are 3 years. I do not know as much about the NBA. Does anybody know what it is in the NBA as I look it up?
The NBA's like salary cap and the way they have so many like loopholes. I tried learning it years ago and it's just kind of worse.
Yeah, the NBA salary cap is a joke.
NBA's 4-year deals for entry-level contracts for first-round picks, with the third and fourth years being team options. So the Phillies, or not the Phillies, baseball is 2 years above any other league. One if you count the option for first-round picks in the NFL. To me, that's a scenario where I think you can give a bone to the players and let them get to free agency sooner.
I would be fine. I'd be fine with the 5 years as long as that first year of free agency is restricted.
But that's what I was saying, though. Like, they're never going to get a cap without giving something to the players in terms of like service time restricted free agency. That's the only way the players would ever agree to it.
They're never going to get a cap anyhow, because the players never agreeing to it. But
which I think is just short-sighted. Like, they think of like, oh, the mass number of the players are not the superstars, and like.
I know. Well, that's what happened in the NBA a couple of CBAs ago. And it really happened with the NFL. The last CBA is that the guys that were going to only be in the league for 2 or 3 years were like, no, let's get as much as we can get. We don't care about the Tom Brady's and Patrick Mahomes. We care about the guys in the bottom. But I have the difference that you made there, Joe, about the years is NFL. They're coming in with 3 years of college experience and ready to start. Right, NBA, they're coming in with 1 year of college and ready to start, right? And NHL, I think I don't know enough about their contracts. I know that they do a lot of minor league stuff, so they're probably a little more closer. But baseball, you can have we just drafted them. Gage Wood, the kid dominated the College World Series through a perfect game, and he's still at least a year away.
Your 6-year clock starts when you get called up. It's not 6 years from when you get drafted. It's 6 years from when you get called up.
Correct, and that's what it should be in my mind. You're. I mean, look at Aiden Miller. He's a perfect example, right? He's been down 3 or 4 years already. We've invested a ton of money in the kid, and he still may come up this year. I hope to see him this year. That's for a different podcast. But why that's the whole point of the farm system, is to invest in players, and you're gonna have players that you invest in that don't return anything, and then it's unfortunate for the ones that do return something, because they're the ones that have their salary artificially hit for a couple of years.
Yeah. But no one's arguing for changing the based on the minor leagues. That would because baseball needs way more development than other leagues.
Right, so that's why I'd be fine with 5 years with a restricted year, and maybe you can only sign a 1 year deal for that 6 year, right? Maybe that's the deal. If you sign with your own team and you can extend, but otherwise you have to sign a 1 year deal with somebody. Maybe that's it.
Well,
right?
but I mean, also the MLB minimum salary is $760,000, and so, and the NFL minimum salary is $840,000. So like, and MLB needs to get that higher to match on this, especially since they're less likely to get injured and stuff. Other leagues, but also the NFL, they're required it has to be 47 or 48, at least 48% needs to be spent on the players, which makes sense. You need to spend almost half the players. Obviously, you can't do less. That you can't play the players more than the league gets, because otherwise the league won't make any money and it can't run. So we need to get close to that, and there's no way MLB teams are anywhere close to spending that.
Well, I mean, they spent in the 90s. They were spending 60% of revenue. I mean,
Whoever negotiated for the players were just so short. Did not foresee any economic boom, whatever.
They just saw it keep coming. They didn't see Billy Beane coming. Really, is what it came down to.
Yeah, I mean, the game changed radically, and it's going to continue to change radically, right? As we see, more and more, at some point, MLB is going to own the media rights to every team, and these RSN contracts.
No, ESPN will. That's the way it's turning, fortunately.
Well, hopefully not. But at some point, the RSNs are going to go away. In a lot of cases, they already have. The league has ownership of, multiple teams, broadcasts already. That's going to change things a lot, I would imagine. You have plenty of changes that are coming constantly. I don't know. It's so complex. I do not envy, the people that are going to be making these decisions, and these negotiations are going to be an absolute nightmare next year.
They're going to be a nightmare for us fans because this time next year we're going to be locked out, and all we're going to be doing is listening to lawyers talk.
Quick heat check. Do you think that we're going to have baseball in 2027? I don't think we will.
Yes, we'll play at some point.
How many games?
It might look like a 2020 season, but we'll play.
What about you, Jeremy? What do you think?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Your answer. I have faith that baseball is not dumb enough to repeat 1994. Maybe that's misguided faith. I have faith that they're not dumb enough to do that.
Yeah, I agree with that, and also just the fact that there's so much money, like this, how like some of the teams like the Dodgers have this much money invested in stuff. If they go without like a month or so without, they're caved. So like, if the players really want anything, they have to be the ones to hold out. The players, it's usually the players that have caved in all sports labor negotiations in the past like decade or so for some stupid reason.
If the owners can't even agree to it themselves, though, how are they going to make an agreement that both the owners and the players, like, it might take forever just to have the owners come up with a deal that they're okay with. Not even talking about the players.
Yeah, but I think it would be I'm going to say 100 games is what we'll see in 2027.
I would love it.
Play 100 games.
Yeah, well, 100 games max. I would say 80 minimum.
Here's another.
I can believe that.
I mean, I would love to 100 games. I don't know. And you're also going to have expansion coming at some point. Maybe that's tied into this whole thing. Maybe, because the owners, if they want to give up on some things, maybe they're going to want to get, expansion fees from, two owners of new teams, and, which we see in, the NHL and stuff like that. It can be a ton of money you get for expansion.
That's also 52 more jobs for the players union.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, but at the same time, you're seeing the minor league systems get decimated, and the investments that teams are making in the minor leagues, and are kind of going away. Major League Baseball wants to get rid of a lot of the minor leagues. Like, there's so much going on. One more idea that I have is, should maximum contract lengths get instituted, like the NHL did? For those that might not be aware, in the NHL, essentially you were allowed to sign contracts however long you wanted to, but essentially, teams knew that players would not be playing for 15 years or 16 years or the crazy length of these contracts, but they just wanted to lower the annual value so that, they would be in a better spot as far as the luxury tax, or not the luxury tax, as far as the salary cap would go. So the NHL put a term limit of 8 years onto any contract. I don't think baseball is at the point right now that we're seeing that, but I could absolutely see that being done if there were a cap implemented, or even, with the current luxury tax system, and you find a player that would be okay with that, and it's essentially a different way of deferring money. Is this something that you have to take a look at as well, having maximum contract lengths in baseball?
It's something you look at, but again, I don't see any way that the players agree. I don't see how some of the owners agree to it. I don't see how the players agree to it. It's just. I'm sorry, like the players, like, you're really gonna hold off on saying, okay, fine, no. 15 years. Like who? Like 15. Like, I think we all agree 15 years probably should be the max. Anything about that, you clearly like using it to like circumvent whatever calculations. So my way to fix that is, instead of limiting the cap year, limiting the years of the contract, do it like the NFL does, and whatever you're paying them that year is what counts against your cap versus your AAV.
Yeah, and then you have to deal with front loading, back loading, and all that. Which
but think about that. So you're the we're gonna pick on Cleveland again. You're Cleveland. Oh, let's go to Detroit. Let's use Detroit for example with Skubal, right? you could front load him, especially if you have to hit a minimum. If that somehow comes in, you could front load him for a couple of years while you have some other people coming up, and have him make less towards the end, and then use that money to bring up other players and bring other players on the team. I don't know. I never understood why we went by AAV versus, but I knew the salary cap in NFL more than I knew it in baseball, or the luxury tax in baseball back 20, 25 years ago when I was really starting to learn all that stuff. I always blew my mind that why can't I just pay some, if I'm 20 million below the cap, why can't I give Chase Utley 20 million of his dollars this year and get right up to the cap, and then next year I can give him a small amount and use that money elsewhere, right? That's how you. That to me is how you let especially if you have a minimum, that's how you let the small market teams really grow their team.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. That's a good idea. What do you think, Jeremy?
Yeah, that sounds good.
What kind of changes do you guys want to see? Is there anything that, we talked about a lot already, but is there anything that we missed that you think is really important, or a different way that you think baseball is broken, or anything like that?
Are we talking just contractually? Sorry, I just want to get. I want to think through it, Jeremy, for a moment. You talking contractually, or just how to fix baseball in general?
In general. All
right, go ahead, Jeremy.
The what we talked about this many times, like the DH. Like if you take out your starting pitcher, you lose the DH. That's a very easy one. That would help prevent the emphasis on starting pitching length that we've had the past 10 plus years. That's like the most obvious one.
So the Dodgers kind of fixed that this year with their starting pitching and how they won the World Series.
They're not the first team to do that. They also had to do that by force.
No, I know. I'm just pointing out. They showed that hey, starting pitching actually matters again.
Yeah, it matters. It matters when your bullpen's atrocious, and
that's true.
And the reason the Phillies lost against the Dodgers because we didn't stick to the plan that we said we were going to do, which was going to match the Dodgers. We said we were going to use Ranger in games 1 or 2, and we didn't, and both times blew it.
This is not a Fire Rob Thompson podcast. We'll do that one later.
Yes, we will.
So
the double hook. You're all in the double hook. What else, Jeremy?
I love the double hook idea. I love that idea.
Double hook. You also limit the pitching the amount of pitchers you have on the roster. It's too I remember before the DH and like the 08, 010, it's like, do we have 10 or 11? Now it's like 13 or 12. It's like, no, we don't need that many. We don't need like 2 crappy ass pitchers. Sorry.
You especially don't need 2 crappy ass pitchers when you start the 10th inning with a guy on second base.
Oh, that too. Especially, for the regular season. Exactly. We have no need for that anymore because extra innings don't go long. And also, I would change it to the regular season. It comes on the 12th inning.
I would agree with both of those changes so far. They're putting in the ABS system with the challenge system right now. Can I get some clarification? I don't know if you guys know it, but it's 3 challenges. But if you get it right, you get to.
No, it's 2. It's 2.
I heard
2 challenges.
I heard 3 on High Hopes today.
Let's look this up. I thought it was 3, but essentially the way I look at it is you get 3 wrong. Oh, it is 2. You get 2 wrong challenges. So if you keep getting them right, then that's fine. But you get 2 wrong challenges over the course of a game, and in the extra innings, I think you get like an extra 1 or something like that.
I think in the playoffs, I think the playoffs they're going to give you a 3rd. I could be wrong.
Yeah, no, but they're just doing that because they're slowing it. It should be ABS full time.
I don't want full time ABS. I don't.
Yeah.
Watching Greg Maddux pitch and learn how he could get out, just growing up watching that, I don't want full-time ABS.
I mean, I think this is going to have way less of an impact than people are thinking. I mean,
I agree. Because
more calls wrong than a couple a game,
Well, and then everybody's gonna be afraid to do it.
Right.
Because you're not going to do it in like the first 5 innings, especially if you're like tied. And in like especially if it's like you're like if Freddie Galvis was up and it was 3-2 and it was like they called it ball, like you don't want to risk giving Freddie Galvis a freaking extra strike. Who cares?
Yeah, but I mean I think we win game 4.
There's strategy to it.
I think we win game 4 if we had the ABS challenge system in.
Yeah,
probably.
So I mean, I think it's going to have.
But that's also assuming that the team doesn't blow them. Like that's
no. I get it. But that also, my point is, it's going to have. I think when it does have consequences, they're going to be major. But for the most part, to your point, they're going to be minor. It's not going to have any consequence in reality for most players. But I think there's going to be probably one every week or so where it's greatly changes the game. Not for one of all 30 teams, right? Once a week, I think every game that happens throughout the week, I think about once a week or once every 2 weeks is going to change a game correctly.
I mean, it's really going to be when it's like 2 outs and the guy would have walked. That's really where it's going to be. Otherwise, it's like it was a 1-0 count. Okay, now it's 2-0. No one's going to remember that.
I mean, a lot of the time, you're just probably not going to use these challenges in spots that aren't that important. You're going to want to preserve them for if a big spot comes up in the 7th inning or something like that, right? So
yeah. Unless you're in a current rally and you're down, or it's 7th inning or later. I totally agree.
Or you're going to give certain players who you believe in their eye a little more leeway to do these things.
Oh yeah, like Juan Soto, I'm sure would get you get full rain. Schwarber.
Bryce.
I want to give it to. I don't know. Bryce with the outside pitch he swings at it thinking it's a strike, so I won't trust him.
Bryce is going to waste a ton of challenges. I'll call that right now.
I think he is too.
It will be hilarious. We should honestly. Okay. I'm gonna write this down and hope I can remember it when the season starts. We're gonna need for next year. We're gonna need to make like some kind of tracker of who makes the dumbest calls or challenges.
I mean, I think this is just my prediction, but if Bryce Harper continues to be, now I'm getting onto the Phillies thing, but if Bryce Harper gets, to the point where he seems like he is upset again, or if he asks for an extension in the offseason and people don't like that, and then he starts wasting challenges, I don't know. I think there's a potential for a Bryce Harper turn in 2026.
We're not talking about the Phillies right now, so I'm going to let that one go. We can talk about that another time. But as far as rules go, so I think that the ones Jeremy nailed are pretty good. I've been really happy with the rules Major League Baseball's changed in the game the last 4 years. I'm not a fan of the zombie runner, but I can live with it during the regular season. Don't do it during. Thank God they don't do it during the postseason. I will tell you, as a 44-year-old man, it's relieving in the regular season because I can actually get to sleep usually at a reasonable time. Especially when my kids
players like it. That's the big thing. The players actually they loved it, and that's the regular season. So yeah, I don't have a problem with it regular season. NHL has the shootout in regular season. It's like you don't want anyone getting hurt over stupid 15, 17, 20. That never really happened. Still, yeah.
This is a mess. This is a complete mess. I mean, that is my takeaway from this, is that this is so much more of a mess than I even thought.
So let me ask you, Joe, where do you think the biggest mess is? If you were going to blame a group in baseball, who would you blame for the mess?
The Mets.
I think
besides the Mets.
I think the biggest issue with baseball right now is the imbalance of international free agents that are getting posted. I would be okay, even though I love having all of the best players from Japan and Korea and Taiwan. I love having all of them here. I would be okay giving that up to avoid the snowballing that we're seeing. And now you see like Munetaka Murakami, one of the big free agents in Japan this year. There's talk about him having somehow the Dodgers have an interest in him, even though I don't know where he'd play there. I don't know. At some point, I just think that's my biggest problem.
Okay, so you're blaming. So who? What are you blaming? Major the Manfred organization side of it? You blaming the owners? You blaming the players? Where? If you had to blame somebody, who would you blame? Blame the Dodgers?
I mean, it's hard to blame the Dodgers, right? Because they are doing things that they're allowed to do. I mean, it does kind of feel like they, had an inch and they took a yard. But I blame the whoever made the last CBA, combined the Players Association and the owners, for allowing this to be possible. Like, maybe this was just a ticking time bomb that we were waiting for a long time. And dynasties are good for sports, right? Like, having dynasties and these kind of, juggernaut teams like the Patriots were for my whole life growing up, watching football.
Oh, yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
But you have to have...
Everyone loves an enemy. Everyone loves an enemy.
But you have to
I'm
have...
saying, if you need somebody to ruin a three-peat, Philadelphia sports team's been pretty good at it the last 8 years.
You have to have some parity, and I don't think baseball has enough parity. The bad teams stay bad, and I think that the good teams stay too good. Like, I think that there just needs to be more parity across the board.
Okay, well, let's look at the NFL. Let's look at the NFL, the champions of parity, right? The Browns have been shit since they came back. I think they've been to playoffs like twice, 3 times.
They were in the playoffs like 4 or 5 years ago, though, right?
Right.
2021, something like that.
And they immediately got rid of Baker Mayfield.
Right.
And I think Flacco or somebody got them there for one season, but they haven't been serious. Houston's never been out of the divisional round. Jacksonville's never won anything.
But these teams are making the playoffs.
Miami hasn't won a playoff game since the 90s.
But they've made all of those teams that you're giving. Like, the Jaguars have been a competitive team, and they've made the playoffs under Trevor Lawrence. Like, the Dolphins have made the playoffs under Tua. Like, these are teams that have been competitive. You have baseball teams that are, like, not even competitive in the regular season, right? Like, the White Sox have lost a lot. Rockies have lost a lot. Marlins, I mean, they made the playoffs, so I guess one time. But, like, I think if you looked at, like, I don't know, it's just not very competitive. A lot of teams
right now, there's 2 teams who have a more than 10 or more year playoff drought.
That's exactly what I was looking up.
It's the Angels and the Pirates. Let's see the NFL, right? NFL, the Jets haven't made the playoffs in 14 seasons. Okay? That's the parity league, right? You look at NBA. Charlotte hasn't been there. Okay. San Antonio, the one of the dynasties of your youth, Joe, and of my college and early adulthood. They haven't been there in 6 years. I mean, this is not a salary cap thing. This is not a money thing. This is a bad ownership.
Well, also, in the NBA, like, way too many teams make the playoffs.
Yeah, and how about or the NHL? The Detroit Red Wings, one of the best, one of the most prolific ever, are 9 seasons. The Sabres are 14 seasons, and again, the Flyers are 5 seasons, and again, the same thing. NHL and NFL, half those teams make the playoffs.
So how many baseball teams have not made the in the NHL, for example? That's the one I have up right now. You've had 4 teams that haven't made the playoffs since 21. You have the Sabres, the Red Wings, the Ducks, and then SK's San Jose Sharks. Yeah, we're counting 21. Because COVID year was just weird for every sport, right?
Leave my Sharks name out of your mouth.
So five teams have not made the playoffs since the 21 season.
I mean, that's okay. That's fair. That's not that bad.
If I look at the World Series, since 21, I've had. Let's see.
What if we go to a series win in the playoffs? How about that?
So that's a little.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. The Reds, 30 years, 1995 NLDS. The White Sox, 20 years, the World Series. The Angels, the 09 ALDS. The Pirates, 12. Orioles, 11. And then Giants, 9. And then just a bunch of parity.
Yeah, 3 or 4 or 5 years.
The Reds one is But like the Reds have been there plenty of times,
And
and they just can't win.
If there's anything we've proven is that the playoffs are a crapshoot.
No, it is in baseball. Absolutely.
It isn't every friggin' league. I mean, friggin' Foles. Who would have predicted Foles winning the Super Bowl?
That was beautiful, though. As I turn around,
it was, but like you can't act like that was expected.
I mean, no, but you know, to me, it's not the success. And it's, this is tough as a Philly fan and something I have to remind myself. The success is in the playoffs is great, but just getting there is the accomplishment, especially in baseball. You have to remember, baseball didn't even expand until the 90s, and then they were so the 90s it was 8, and then when did they expand again to not to 18 or something?
2013.
2013 was when they went to 10, and then after 2020 is when they went to 12.
Yeah, but if still, MLB didn't have playoffs until 1969.
Yeah. I mean, you can count the World Series as a playoff, but yeah.
But that's just. But the leagues were totally separate. Therefore, there was no playoffs. You won your league. That's why the pennant was so much bigger than.
Yeah, I'd say
it was two soccer leagues having a championship match. That was basically what the World Series used to be.
And if we were still in 1969 rules, there would have been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 teams that were 10 seasons or longer since they made the playoffs.
Oh yeah.
If we were in 1969 to 1993 rules, we would have had 10 teams.
Oh wait, okay. This made me remember another rule that I would like change. Okay, you can keep the same amount of teams, but the wild card round is if the division winner, let's say it would have been the Dodgers. That if they win one game, they win the whole thing, and then the wild card team has to actually win a series, and then the other one is just a best of one. That's the way I would change it.
I don't like that one because let me go back and look some past seasons to see if I'm correct before I really jump on this. But there's times when if you win a weak division, and I think back to the year the Dodgers and the Giants both had over 100 wins, right? Well, they wouldn't have had to play the division winner, but a division winner does get the lowest wild card team. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I gotta think through that one a little more.
Here's the question because
I'm just worried about becoming the NBA. That's what I'm sorry. I just want to make sure. I want emphasis on winning division. I hate people oh, it's not fair. Sports aren't fair. They're entertainment. I don't give a crap about fairness.
Being the NBA is the worst case. It's the worst case.
Oh, exactly. But I know. But they always want to worry. Oh, having more money. Oh, more teams make it. Then you have freaking in-season tournaments, which is for there's all kinds of stupid.
Which is stupid,
right?
But the NBA doesn't have. I mean, the NBA. I don't know. Maybe it's been a while since I've been paying hard attention to the NBA.
Oh, yeah, me too. I can't remember the last time I watched an NBA game. I can't stand all the lack of driving to the rim.
I can't stand the way the game's played anymore. If I look at NBA playoff upsets, right? I mean,
they never happen. They never.
right. So that's my point. By doing what you're suggesting, we become more like the NBA, right? Because the higher seed almost always wins.
No, but it's only in the wild card round, though. That's all I'm saying. No,
I know, but the 1 versus 8. I mean, how many times has that happened in the NBA? Once?
No,
twice?
But it wouldn't be 1 for. No. This wouldn't be 1 for 8. This is still 6 versus 6.
It'd be 3 versus 8.
It'd be 4. 3. It'd be 3 versus 6.
The two best postseasons in sports.
Number
one, March Madness is number 1. Number 2, the Stanley Cup playoffs. And I guess number 3 right now, I'd have the MLB playoffs, but the NBA, way below there.
NBA is the worst playoffs, period.
Oh, yeah. It doesn't matter until the finals.
It's just a waste of time, yeah.
Sometimes the conference finals matter. Sometimes the conference finals matter.
Yeah.
So, let's kind of get to wrapping this up a little bit. I want everybody, we'll start with you, Jeremy, give a number on how broken you think baseball is right now, and then, where do you think things are going to be after the next CBA?
I think they're at a 7. There's a lot of bad blood between the owners and the players. We had that whole article coming out about how it had an agent, had be a mole, and clearly Manfred is very disliked by the players. Every time he opens his mouth, he says like the dumbest way possible describing something. Like don't ever forget the hunk of metal crap. So there's just a lot of animosity between the players and the owners, and then just like how Metzuk said, the owners themselves have a lot of infighting, and just a lot of cheap assholes to begin with. So it's pretty bad because there's a lot of just different factions are fighting with each other, and super subsets of that are fighting within.
Yeah. How about you, Metzuk? How broken is baseball to you on a scale of 1 to 10, and then what do you expect out of the next CBA?
So it depends on what you mean by broken. I would say it's probably closer to a 2. I don't think it's broken. I think that there are broken parts that are terrible, and that's the cheap owners. I mean, honestly, that's where I put all the blame. I don't blame the players. I don't blame the rich owners. I blame the cheap owners who are breaking it. So if I factor that, if we have too many of those, then that broken goes up to like 9. But I don't think the game's broken. I think that they've done a lot. As much as I agree with what you just said, Jeremy, about Manfred, and the hunk of metal bullshit, they have done a ton to improve the game overall, improve the viewing experience. I will say it is not as much fun to go to games because the games are over quicker.
But it's how it used to be, though.
Well, no, I know, but it's less. It's more of an event than it is a leisurely activity. Which, when you have friends who aren't huge baseball fans, that makes it hard to convince them to join. Right? They're there for the leisure side of it, not necessarily for the game. But I don't think baseball's broken. I think that the Dodgers prove that it's not broken. In my opinion, everybody says they broke it. I think that the teams that broke it are the Marlins, the Royals, the
A's,
teams like that. The A's, teams like that. I think that's who broke baseball, and that's probably the biggest problem I have with the game right now. I have no problem with the Dodgers have done. I have no problem with what the Mets are done. I never had a problem with what the Yankees did back in the day. They're using the tools available to them, and they're remembering that owning a sports franchise should be a second job, second career. You should not be trying to make money owning a sports franchise. You should be trying to win.
I agree.
It should be a break-even at best scenario, and do everything you can to win, and it should be your fun career, not your only career.
Yeah, I agree. Fully. The sport makes enough money where an owner can if you can take a loss.
If you can't make money as a sports owner and put together a team that should win, that can win, that can win, because obviously every year is going to be a terrible team, there's going to be good teams. You should lose your team. That's simple.
I agree.
Sell to somebody who can. Right?
I agree, I agree. Yeah, honestly, I agree. If you relocation, you should be forced to sell the team too. If you're not willing to negotiate with the city and with public money bullcrap, you should sell the team.
I think there's a limit to that. I generally agree with your sentiment. I don't 100% agree on that one, but I would probably be 95% of the way there with you.
So I think I'm at a 7 too, like you, Jeremy. I came into this a little bit higher. I think that you guys maybe helped to talk me down a little bit, but I remain very concerned about the future. Maybe if it's not super broken right now, maybe it will be in a few years. I think that baseball's in a precarious position. It's a great call out with Rob Manfred. I question if he's going to survive this CBA. He works for the owners, and if the owners can't agree, I think at the end of the day he might be the fall guy for that. Not that that would make baseball fans upset. But I'm going to be keeping a very keen eye on how this CBA ends up working out. I'm hoping that we're going to see some pretty transformational changes because I think the old way of doing things might not work in the modern day. I especially want to see the way that international free agent posted players. I think that has to get changed. I would love to see either a tax or a floor, or ideally both. I think that would be great for the game, but I don't expect that.
I want those numbers close, too. I want those numbers close.
I would love them to be close. That would be fantastic. It'd be fantastic, right? Yeah, I mean, it's tough. You know, I hope that this doesn't turn into a 1994 situation. But we'll see. I mean, at the end of the day, the players are probably going to cave because they just can't afford to be out for as long as the owners. But again, I keep going back to, can the owners even agree to what they would want out of a CBA? And I don't know if they can, because there's a couple owners that spend a lot of money and they want to be allowed to do that. There's more than a few owners that want to save every dollar they can and rely on revenue sharing to give them a profit from running the team every year. So how do you get an agreement of 2/3 of the owners, or whatever the number is, 3/4, whatever it is, to even say what should be in the CBA to get to the players in the first place? That's where I'm like very hesitant about where this could go.
Lock him in the room, cocaine, Texas style cage match.
Pay-per-view.
That would be something, huh? Well, anyways, I think that is a good place to leave us off for today. Did any of you guys have anything else you wanted to say? Anything else you wanted to bring up before we finished our recording?
Go Phils.
I'm
How
hungry.
about you? Yeah, I'm hungry too. I'm gonna have dinner right after we finish this recording. Anyways, thank you everybody for listening to this. If you got it this far, you're a real one. Appreciate you. And like I said, we have the Discord server link in the show notes, and be sure to put questions in the podcast channel. We got a few already for our next episode, but we're going to try to have a big mailbag coming out this weekend for you all. So we will talk to you all then. Thank you for listening, and have a good night.